midfield last week against Notre Dame.
Will Lynch for Notre Dame. Anthony Gobriel, the Navy transfer, at the face-off X for Virginia. And the ACC tournament underway. First time they've brought the tournament back since 2019. Will Donovan vacuums the ground ball. Notre Dame to work on offense.
Notre Dame's wings on the face-off, as good as it gets in the country. If they win the draw, they pick it up, and if the other team does, they're going to make it painful to try to get possession.
In goal for Virginia is Matthew Nunes. He was playing at an All-American level right before the last 3 games. Eric Dobson with a left hand turned away by Nunes. And here comes Will Erdman for Virginia. Now it's Ben Weyer, 44, long pole, has 7 goals. Erdman to Yeager, the Harvard transfer. Cormier bouncer. Liam Entenmann wearing number 40 today for Notre Dame in honor of the late Mike Sennett. It's been an annual tradition for the Irish where one player late in the season will wear that number 40 jersey, a huge honor in South Bend.
In Liam Entenmann's career for Notre Dame is unmatched in the cage. I mean, he was the MVP of the NCAA tournament last year. You know, I think the difference between the best teams, especially in the ACC, and why I think Notre Dame's kind of separated themselves is him, right? His ability in the cage to just steal some extra possessions and take bullets off the cage, unmatched.
Will Angrick with the opening salvo of this 2024 ACC tournament. Left-handed shot beating Matthew Nunes low, and it's 1-0 Irish.
This offensive possession starts with an Entenmann save in the cage and the quick outlet, and then just a nice, patient offensive set. Angrick right there, sweeping to his left hand. Nunes definitely wants back in the cage. Stick side low, had a nice read on it. You gotta make that stop if you're Nunes in the cage for Virginia.
Angrick has brought some punch to that second midfield. 5th goal of the season. In the meeting last Saturday, this is where Notre Dame was better. Plus 25 on ground balls. They come up with another one. Lynch gets pushed from behind. That'll draw a flag. And now Notre Dame's vaunted man-up offense clicking at 71%. That's on pace to be the best man-up unit all time is about to go to work.
And a fast start for Notre Dame.
30 seconds.
Not a good sign for Virginia. But again, yeah, they get that first goal now. You might as well put the point on the board given what they've done with this man-up unit throughout the season.
Matt, what makes this man-up unit so surgically efficient?
To me, it's the pieces, right? You have the great feeder in Pat Cavanaugh. You have the stretch shooter in Dobson. You have the inside players in Taylor and McLean. You got the lefty down low. I mean, they just can, you don't know what to do. You take Pat Cavanaugh off, like Virginia's doing right now. You're shutting them off. Chris Cavanaugh steps up and becomes a quarterback. Like, they just can beat you in so many different ways.
Devin McLean skip, tipped by Weyer. Ball rolling back toward the midfield line. Dobson tries to keep it in and does. Now Pat Cavanaugh, ACC Player of the Year, over to brother Chris. We're back to even strength as Terenzi runs on for Virginia. A rare miss.
Think about
the
that.
Man up for Notre Dame.
I mean, 70% above is absurd.
Oh, 50% plus is considered pretty good. Here's Pat Cavanaugh feeding the crease. McLean, kick save Nunes. McLean gets it back. A lot of offense early for Notre Dame. Now Virginia's yet to really have a settled set.
Notre Dame picking up where it left off last week on the 50-50 ground balls. Every one of them thus far come up the Fighting Irish way.
There's Jordan Faison, who doubles as a wide receiver on the Irish football team. He's quick. MVP of the Sun Bowl. Now Chris Cavanaugh looking to turn the corner. Denied by George Fulton. Virginia long and rangy on defense. Faison, no angle. Missed the cage. This close defense for Virginia, dubbed as Jurassic Park by Georgetown head coach Kevin Warren a few years ago. Kastner 6'7", Fulton 6'6", and Schroeder's the little guy at 6'5".
He's a redshirt freshman. He can still grow a couple inches.
Kavanaugh looking for the feed in front. Now battle for the ground ball. Kavanaugh, Pat, and Castner comes back to the Irish. Devin McLean cleans up the trash.
A trend developing here in Charlotte. Ground ball dominance from Notre Dame. They are too talented and too good to give them possession after possession. And right now, Virginia's defense unable to keep up right here. Kavanaugh fights for the ground ball. And a nice job picking it up and moving it quickly to McLean. The transfer from Brown. In and out in one release point. Top cage, 2-0 Fighting Irish.
And McLean 2 years ago was a 70-point scorer for a Brown team that made the NCAA tournament. Brown would lose to Virginia in the first round that year. He was Brown's top scorer 2 years in a row. Lynch shovels it back. Ben Ramsey, another flag against Virginia. And this feels like an extension of the fourth quarter we saw on Saturday when Notre Dame pulled away from UVA. Irish won that game 11-9.
I thought a key for this game was for Notre Dame, if they wanted to come out quick, how does Virginia react? Really, they kind of took it to them in the fourth quarter just a week ago, and to your point, they've picked up where they left off, and now Virginia starts to think, all right, are we ever going to get a ground ball? Are we going to get a stop? Can this snowball out of control for them?
Second midfield for the Irish, Angrick, Gray, and Buzenkill. Angrick gets away from Yeager, bounces it offline, and now the vaunted Notre Dame power play back to work.
We're going to take a look here on the penalty right there on the back, getting the slashing penalty. If this Virginia man down can get a stop on them for 2 in a row, I'd be shocked. The numbers are not on their side.
No. Now the math says otherwise. 0 and white. Richard Deli is an EMO specialist. 7 man-up goals this season, 16 for his career. Chris Kavanaugh probing. McLean gets it back from Kavanaugh. Richard Deli trying to get open by the crease. Pat Kavanaugh trying to shake Tommy McNeil.
And that's just a difference maker. Pat Kavanaugh having the awareness that, all right, we got it in the interior. I'm not going to be able to make a feed. Let's get out, get our hands free, reset, and generated another scoring opportunity very quickly.
Less than 30 seconds on this extra man opportunity. 8 and white. Dobson offers a lot of range. He was an all-ACC selection. Here's Taylor, and there's the man-up goal for the Irish. You give this team an extra man opportunity, you're playing with a matchbox.
And one of their strengths, and it's a very hard thing to do, and it's quite subtle, is they are incredibly good at getting the ball from top center into the crease to Taylor. He's not always going to shoot it. His ability to transition it out quickly makes defenses struggle, and then there, Virginia thought he was going to pass it out, doesn't collapse on him, right? He's like, oh, I have a moment here. Turns and fires to the bottom portion of the cage. Early in the game, but getting dangerous here if you're Virginia.
We're more than 5 minutes into this first quarter. Connor Schellenberger has not touched the ball. Virginia has not had a real offensive possession.
They had one shot in transition, and that was it.
Lynch wins another face-off. Accelerates ahead. Lynch beating Nunes upstairs. The Irish, every bit the Goliath they were in the regular season.
The first 2 face-offs, Virginia actually won the clamps, and Notre Dame got the ball from the wings. The last 2, Lynch has won to himself right here, the push forward. And what's so impressive here is Virginia really wants him taking that shot to shoot it with his offhand, with pace, to the top bar. Right, it being high is the difference maker. Nunes and Cage thinks that face-off guy's going low.
And Virginia's made a change here. Tommy McNeil and Ben Way are double poles on the face-off wings to help out Gabriel. Lynch has won all 4 face-offs. 2 goals in 5 seconds for Notre Dame. And Lynch wins this one. Now can he escape the poles? He does. Another possession for the Irish. Virginia has yet to have a settled set. If you're judging time of possession, comically weighted toward Notre Dame so far.
And just a week ago, Virginia won the face-off battle, right? Not so far today.
To the point now where the Irish are running a 3rd midfield. Jalen Seymour in there, as is Bryce Walker.
And these are valuable possessions for Notre Dame to get players more involved in big-time games early on, because as we all know, to make runs to the national championship, you need a lot of depth.
Here is Seymour. Over to Pat Cavanaugh. Gets the pick from Seymour. Kastner stays with him. Cole Kastner, after this season, will go play basketball at Stanford. Fisher Finley now. Pat Cavanaugh against Kastner. Great matchup here. A couple of All-Americans.
And Kastner has been one of, if not the best matchup in the country against Pat Cavanaugh.
Shot clock at 5. Finley, shot blocked. And that is a shot clock violation. And now if you're this Virginia offense, your defense has been playing defense for the entire quarter so far. You need a long possession, and interestingly enough, talking to Connor Schellenberger yesterday, he felt that Notre Dame baits you into seeking early offense. Virginia likes to play fast, likes to score early, but he said the best way to attack Notre Dame is to be patient. He said historically, when they've had success against the Irish, their best shots and their goals have come with the shot clock inside of 20.
And look, I think how they bait you into quick offense is how aggressive they ride. It's this helter-skelter, oh my God, we got to get over the midfield, and now they seem to be out of position. Let's push in transition, and they're really not, right? And so Virginia can't take that bait. Again, you're down 4, there's tons of time left. Right now, a good possession, the most important thing for Virginia.
There is Ryan Colsey. Now Griffin Schutz, Virginia's top middie. Midfield production offensively has been inconsistent for the Hoos. Here's Peyton Cormier, and he gets Virginia on the board. Career goal number 212 to tie Justin Gutterding's ACC record.
When Peyton Cormier has his feet moving and he's going north to south with his strong hand, he is incredibly tough to stop. Right here you can see him, number 24, the big Canadian with the overhand release, gets Virginia on the board here in Charlotte. 4-1 Notre Dame in the first quarter. Given his dominance at the faceoff X.
Lynch was below 50% going into the national semifinals last year. Virginia looked to have its first faceoff, and then Weyer turns it over. Couldn't keep the ball after the hit. Beginning with championship weekend a season ago, up until now, Lynch is winning at about a 60% clip. Down to Maryland.
Will Lynch said the biggest difference for him is the confidence he has when Notre Dame double pulls off that face-off. He says it gives me the belief that I can rely on my guys, and that belief has made me better at my job. He's down here getting a ton of attention from the training staff, just cuts and bruises for how hard he's working today.
Lynch, 5 out of 6 so far.
And by the way, the one he lost, he just forced the turnover.
Right. Face on! Little face dodge and a Bugs Bunny changeup past Matthew Nunes. The Irish in control.
I think we can confidently say Jordan Faison is the most athletic player on the field. His explosion out of dodge, unmatched. And right here you're gonna see it's just a nice face dodge. He's matched up against a shorty, just ducks it underneath, and then Nunes goes low, and just look at the placement and the touch. It's not about how hard you release it when you're this close. It's about deception and accuracy, and the freshman demonstrating why his name gets brought up so often as one of the most fun people to watch in college lacrosse.
He came to South Bend on a lacrosse scholarship, walked down to the football team. Now it's flipped. He's on a full ride with football. When you're the top receiver and the MVP of the Sun Bowl,
you know what?
the attention of the football folks.
And what may be the best part about him is his younger brother, maybe just as good, if not better, who's also coming to South Bend.
And Tyler Buckner and Faceon, Notre Dame's the only team in the country with 2 bowl game MVPs on its lacrosse roster. Here's the freshman, McCabe Millen, number 2 freshman in the country, son of 2 Hall of Famers. You played with his dad, Mark.
And around Virginia here, time to get Connor Schellenberger the ball. They haven't had a ton of possession, so you need to maximize him, and he's the player you go to.
There he is, Schellenberger against the freshman Light, now picked up by Napolitano. Millen from up top, he's got a short stick. Goes at Ramsey, crease feed, Colsey behind the back, Antiman vetoed it.
We mentioned earlier why Notre Dame is the team to beat when talent-wise everyone's so equal. It's because that player right there, Liam Entenmann, that save is unbelievable. A quick stick behind the back, reading it perfectly as Notre Dame pushes in transition.
Unsettled Donovan! It started with the save by the 2-time ACC Defensive Player of the Year and the 2-time ACC Goalie of the Year. Liam Entenmann, point blank, says no.
I mean, this save is, he had a save on SportsCenter earlier in the year. This, to me, is even better because it's, I mean, the reaction time is unreal. That top hand, the explosion, how quick he gets over the far side, and then Virginia pressing out on the ride pays the price as Notre Dame dominating in every aspect. Athleticism, skill in transition, defensively in the cage. Maybe the margin I talked about earlier being razor thin, they're showing something here.
This Notre Dame team went 4-0 in the ACC, the toughest conference in college lacrosse. And, you know, you want to separate teams into tiers as we get close to Sunday and Selection Sunday. To me, Tier 1 is Notre Dame. I don't think there's anybody else in that tier.
Yeah, and I thought that margin was pretty slim. Watching this, I'm starting to question myself. Probably the best quarter of lacrosse I've seen from Notre Dame.
Kavanaugh has yet to score. 6 goals by 6 different players. Entenmann's made a couple of big saves. The ground ball play, the face-offs, a man-up goal. They've done it every which way.
The dominance on the ground ball is what is the most telling thing. That carries forward, right? They have 8 ground balls to Virginia's 2.
And Virginia, historically, has always been among the best, if not the very best, in terms of ground balls per game. It's a tricky stat because ground balls as a cumulative number depends on pace of play. But even if you look at it from a plus-minus standpoint, Virginia's always amongst the national leaders. Here comes Chris Kavanaugh. Being shadowed by Schroeder, now his brother Pat. Kastner on him. Matchup you pay to see. Kastner into the body of Pat Kavanaugh. Chris dropped it off the ground. McNeil had it, another ground ball. It's a Kavanaugh, big save by Nunes. It'll stay with the Irish. Buzenkill with the backup and a shot clock reset to 60.
That's a huge save from Nunes. Stonewalling Kavanaugh, but again, another scoring opportunity, a fairly easy scoring opportunity off a ground ball. Every single loose ball opportunity being dominated by the Fighting Irish.
Kavanaugh over to Angrick, he lost it. There's another ground ball.
Let's make a guess, who's this gonna come up with?
In a sea of orange, now the Irish get involved, and it comes back to Notre Dame and Riley Gray. Huge possession advantage for the Irish, 14-3 shot advantage, 6-1 on the scoreboard. Pat Kavanaugh maneuvering from X. He's Notre Dame's all-time points leader and all-time assists leader. The best to ever wear an Irish uniform. Now his brother Chris. Checked away. Virginia gives it right back. Angrick the cause turnover near the crease. Pat Cavanaugh, chaos. And scooped up by Yeager. The Harvard transfer catapults it ahead. Here comes Tommy McNeil. McNeil fires a bouncer. Oh, that's not the shot you want when your offense can't get the ball.
I mean, this Virginia defense is gassed.
Comes back to Kastner. Notre Dame sloppy in transition. Here is Schellenberger. Think about a timeout here, Matt?
If I'm Virginia, again, you've got the clear now, it's set up, but yes, like you need to sit your team down, slow down. Right, I mean, that shot from McNeil after you just played defense for essentially the entire first quarter, not what you're looking to do.
Here comes Patrick McIntosh, part of that second midfield. Here comes Schellenberger, looking to get on the board. He's got a short stick matchup. He's guarded by Buckner. Schellenberger turns the corner, and there's a kick saved by Entenmann. And again, guess who's quicker to the sideline? It's Notre Dame. They've won the hustle points. That's the difference in this game so far.
It's the hustle points. The part that's somewhat shocking is that what seems to be superior athleticism.
And Virginia in a 10-man ride. Now Nunes retreats into the cage.
And Virginia's playing the 10-man ride. I'm not sure I keep doing that. You're down 6-1, so I get the idea. Hey, we need to get the ball back in possession. There's plenty of lacrosse left. This Notre Dame team is showing you that in the helter-skelter, hectic type of play, they just seem to be better at it right now.
The defending champion, Fighting Irish, in peak May form in this opening quarter. Dobson looking for face-on. Pass behind him. McLean will retrieve. McLean has one of the 6 Notre Dame goals. He'll go to work on Noah Chismar.
Look, if I'm Notre Dame, I'm going to face-on here. He's got a short stick matchup.
Willis Burt matched up on face-on. Here comes Dobson. Now Chris Cavanaugh looking to shake Ben Wayer. Face-on. Through the body of Burt, and Nunes makes a gigantic stave on the doorstep.
And that's actually really good defense from Virginia. Physical, hard checks. A nice save by Nunes. But face-on, just showing you how tough he is.
Now Willis Burt got right into the body of face-on. He was able to absorb the hit. Nunes snuffed it out. Final 25 seconds, opening quarter. 6-1 Notre Dame. Irish went 4-0 in ACC play. Virginia entered this tournament on a 3-game losing streak. Here's Boyden, the D3 transfer from Tufts, where he was the D3 player of the year. Over to Colsey, maneuvering toward the cage. Another save by Entenmann. It's going to go to Notre Dame. Final 6 seconds of an opening quarter dominated by the Fighting Irish. Entenmann throws it down over the cage. Time expires. 15 minutes of pure Irish domination. Entenmann stopped 5 of 6. The Cavanaugh is not much of a factor, but it didn't matter.
Yeah, this Notre Dame team can beat you in so many different ways. Entenmann with the save of the season, in my opinion, sparking offensive transition. Notre Dame's so dangerous in so many different areas. Right now, Cormier has 2 shots, Schellenberger 1, and that's about all she wrote.
Gobriel wins the face-off. Schellenberger had a great look. He knows it. Missed it wide. So much is made of the big 3 that we'll see this weekend. Cavanaugh and Schellenberger in this one, Brennan O'Neill later. And I asked Connor Schellenberger, the 3 of you have been linked for 4 years now. Your careers have played out on a big stage. How do you feel about always being compared to the other 2? And he smiled and said, you know, it brings out the best in you. You want to be the top guy when that list is mentioned.
And Virginia here doing a little bit different offensive set. Millen out of the box as a midi. Jack Boyden down on the attack. I like that set for Virginia. I think it's going to get Millen the short stick matchup. It's going to get his scoring opportunities.
I mean, Entenmann's turning away everything. Here's Colsey.
Do you know how impressive it is? They haven't, usually when you're getting rhythm, it's because you're getting peppered. You're seeing a lot of shots. He's not seeing a lot of shots, and he is just absolutely stonewalling Virginia.
Nick Harris, the shorty, knocked it away from Millen. Turnover, Virginia. Here's Harris the other way. Rain starting to come down here at American Legion Memorial Stadium in Charlotte. Site of this 2024 ACC tournament. Not a high-level lacrosse being played on this field this spring. We had Johns Hopkins Syracuse back in March. The ACC women's tournament was here last week. Now the men's tournament, and the PLL comes here in a few weeks. Too high for McLean. Notre Dame has the backup.
And a nice job from Notre Dame there in the substitution game, creating an unsettled situation. McLean usually buries those.
I think about a guy like McLean who played attack at Brown. Now you come to Notre Dame, stacked offense, and a lot of times you're drawing a short stick.
Yeah, and what I love about that for him is he has Kavanaugh, who I think in college lacrosse throws the best short touch pass. And so he's the perfect complement to be in the midfield, guarded by a short stick with his hands, and then complement Pat Kavanaugh.
There's Dobson. He's had a shorty quite a bit this season, working on Chismar. His numbers are down, but so many times he's been involved in that hockey assist.
He's definitely a big force, and he forces teams to slide. And Notre Dame is the best in the business in terms of attacking the backside.
Shot clock down to 10. Face on, trail checked. It will stay with the Irish, only 5 to shoot. Pat Kavanaugh in conference play, averaging 5 points per game. Will throw this away so Notre Dame can set up its defense.
And look, Pat Kavanaugh, 5 seconds, like he's a threat to do something, but they are so good in the riding game that it's not worth it. Drop back, make Virginia beat you in the clear.
ACC semifinal number 2 scheduled to face off at 8 p.m. tonight. Duke and Syracuse. Orange beat the Blue Devils 10-4 in a midweek tilt earlier this year at the Carrier Dome. Duke coming off a stunning loss to North Carolina last time out. Here comes McIntosh. Now Will Corey, part of that second midfield. Terenzi, almost a Ward. Comes back to Schellenberger, matched by Sean Light, who's had a terrific freshman season. Using a pick from Corey, feed in front, Entenmann! Spider-Man-like. Terenzi, that time he scores! They were persistent, and Virginia closes to 4.
If Entenmann does have one habit, it is to go down a little bit early. But oftentimes he's moving his body down and his arms come up. And he's such a long body that he's able to guard the lower part of the cage and the top simultaneously. Joey Terenzi, I think, catches him off guard here. He's a right-handed player. Lefty, your tendency with your weak hand is to typically pull it down to the ground. And it's that high placement to the far portion of the cage that's threw him for a loop and gets Virginia on the board, 6-2.
You have played on stacked teams with a great goalie. You played with Tillman Johnson. When Entenmann is on, it's almost unfair. It becomes a cheat code.
And again, especially if you get down early, right? Because then you start pressing and maybe you're taking not the right shot, but the first shot. And if he's just stealing possession after possession, it's tough. Somebody to keep an eye on here. Connor Schellenberger just went to the bench for Virginia. I saw him grab his shoulder after a shot. So I think he's getting looked at by the training staff on the sideline.
Another face-off one, meanwhile, for Notre Dame. 7-3 face-off advantage. Donovan stays out there, as does Lynch. Now those two run off.
If Notre Dame wins the ground balls in the face-off battle, that means they can dictate the pace of play. And they're very hard to beat, right? Georgetown, who beat them early in the season, got possession after possession, they killed the ball. It was long, drawn-out possessions, and that's not the way Notre Dame likes to play.
Here comes Buzenkill, feeding Chris Kavanaugh. Slam dunk. Second midfield, Max Buzenkill the assist, and Chris Kavanaugh tallies goal number 27.
Chris Kavanaugh with his 27th goal this season. A pretty easy one here as Buzenkill drives down the side. This is just too easy to be that wide open on the back door. You can see Schroeder for Virginia sliding. Go if you're gonna go. He's caught in no man's land. He leaves the most dangerous player on the field wide open on the backside. That's been Virginia's problem all year. It's they don't know when to slide. If I'm them, I don't slide. Right? They're very good athletically. Let the other teams beat you.
Virginia's double polling. It doesn't matter. Notre Dame keeps winning faceoffs. There's Fulton Bayman. And you're starting to see Notre Dame sub a little liberally. They got Bayman. We saw third midfield get some run in that opening quarter. Now again, the Irish win or lose today. If they win, you can almost lock them in as the #1 overall seed. There's a good chance, even if they don't win today, they're the #1 overall seed come Sunday.
I think they've earned that. I think for them, the body of work throughout the course of the year.
Here's the third midfield. Seymour, now Bryce Walker. Seymour, good look. And again, the off-ball defense for Virginia lacking like it did against Duke and like it did against Syracuse.
Virginia all season struggling off ball, as we've mentioned. You can take advantage of them in the pick game. Right here, just lack of communication on the defensive end, and Virginia doing a nice job in the two-man game here, right? You're gonna see here, not communication. Yeager, both men go, and Seymour steps off the backside, hands free, utter domination, 8-2 Irish.
Gabriel scoops up the face-off. They'll play it back to Nunes. We check in with Maryland.
Connor Schellenberger now back on the field, but while he was on the sideline, the training staff was tending to him very gently, and he a couple times tried to talk to the staff, his coaches, about getting back on the field, and then was pulled back into the sideline. So they're managing his use because of something. It doesn't look like it's hurting him much, though.
Meanwhile, an adventure is clear with minimal pressure from Notre Dame. Here comes Schutz. Now McCabe Millen, talented freshman, hands free, and fires a rocket. McCabe Millen attacking from up top. Matt, you were talking with Charlotte North before the game, and you said, I'd like to see McCabe Millen be deployed more as a midi than an attackman.
I just think he's got one of, if not the best, bursts of speed on this Cavaliers team. Right here, again, operating on top of the cage. It's a simple pick. Poor communication from Notre Dame. They go under the pick. He keeps his feet moving. And again, the high placement on the shot. This is why I love him as a midi. Look at that range. That is a true midfield-looking release as a player, which is, to me, like the difference between being a good midi and a great one is your ability to pepper the ball on the run to the top portion of the cage. Millen showing his ability to do that right there.
And that has not been a weapon this year for Virginia.
And again, I think it gets Jack Boyden on the field for Virginia, who plays a lot like Xander Dixon from a year ago, right? He can be that off-ball player where Schellenberger can get him involved. It makes the defense start sliding, and that's when Connor Schellenberger can start picking you apart.
Not a 10-man ride, but Virginia applying pressure. Dangerous pass. It rolls out of bounds. And a turnover for Notre Dame. That's where Virginia has been so good under Lars Tiffany. Teams often clear in the low 80s against UVA. Now Ben Wayer's a weapon. Outside of the top 6 on offense, Wayer, the long pole, is the team's 7th leading scorer.
Yeah, he's instant offense. He's fun to watch. some of the good with some of the bad, right? He can push in transition and create some things, but often a couple times this year made some bad decisions. But that's Virginia lacrosse. I think Lars Tiffany would live with that all day long.
Will Corey against Parlett. Now Schellenberger gives it up. McIntosh against the bagpiper Bergmaster, picked up on the switch by Parlett. Comes back to X. Millen using the shake. Millen gets free, goes low. Antonin eats it up.
That's a good take from Millen. He probably needs to take an extra step and shoot it to the top bar.
There's the quarterback, Buckner! That's off the side of the net.
And they're going to call a hit here, a penalty.
A flag near midfield.
They're going to call a high hit. I personally disagree with this call. There's two officials near the hit who don't call it. The far official is going to be the one on the call here.
Foul zone, orange, 36, unnecessary, 1 minute. Shot clock's 80.
We'll take a look here. I think that's a good hit in my opinion. Maybe the arm comes a little high on the release, but initial contact to me, that's a tough call from Virginia, especially if there's a ref right there who opted not to throw the penalty, and then honestly the ref with the worst angle makes the call.
So Notre Dame will go man up, where they came into the game clicking at 71%, by far best in the nation. Dobson's got a hammer from the outside. Step down opportunity. Chris Kavanaugh, it skirts wide. Irish 1 for 2 with the extra man today. Virginia has yet to go man up.
And Virginia on man down against this Notre Dame team. When they have a full minute, they're so patient. They get you spread out. They change sets. It's almost an impossible task to keep them out of the back of the cage.
Pat Kavanaugh orchestrates from up top. Touch pass, Dobson steps into one. McNeil got a piece of it.
And that's the subtle, like that play from Taylor, right? Early in the game we talked about, he got it. Virginia didn't collapse on him, he turned and shoots. There, Virginia collapses down, it's in and out of his stick to Dobson, your best outside shooter. Taylor is as good, if not better, than anyone in the country.
McLean from the wing off the Kavanaugh feed. There's that through pass that has been a trademark of this man-up unit.
And again, as little as it seems, it all starts with everyone having to collapse on Taylor, because then it opens up the passing lanes. Their sticks come down to check him, and then you have Kavanaugh with the vision on the skip pass to McLean. Right, look, Virginia right here, you're gonna see them, all their sticks are gonna have to come down. They're all collapsing. Kastner's collapsing right there on 13 Taylor, and then he doesn't have the ability to extend out on McLean.
Second of the game for McLean. 9 goals by 8 different players.
And going back to that penalty, right? It's almost the part of lacrosse, so like, the big hits aren't worth it. It's just not, it's not worth the downside risk of a big hit. Because if you do hit him too hard, the refs have been coached into saying, hey, that's not part of our game going forward. Let's remove it.
Now we've seen it officiated. When in doubt, throw the flag. Another face-off won by the Irish. Now talking to Kevin Corrigan before the game, he said that Georgetown game early in the season was a wake-up call. You're the defending champion. The target is bigger this year. You get complacent even for a minute, you're going to get every team's best shot. It got this team refocused. They have not lost since. It's their only loss of the season. They went 4-0 in a heavyweight league in the regular season and up 9-3 on Virginia, the team that, again, on paper over the last few years has matched up better against Notre Dame than anyone else in this ACC.
Yeah, they'd won 5 of the last 7. 5 in a row prior to that.
Taylor gets knocked back by Schroeder. Another ground ball, 50-50, out of bounds. They'll get a procedure call on the Irish Virginia ball.
Notre Dame was offsides there. Lucky to not get a call there. 15 ground balls for the Fighting Irish to Virginia's 8. That seems closer in reality.
Schellenberger using the pick from Boyden. Light stays with him. Now Millen again, he's got the short stick. Over to Cormier, off his stick. Schellenberger can't grab it. Another ground ball. Guess who's got it? Notre Dame. Parlett. He wants the cavalry to follow. Parlett pumps, fires. Taylor the backup.
And Cormier stuck on defense here. If I'm Notre Dame,
they are coming at him.
Parlett is not leaving that side of the field.
They're going to use Parlett here to set a pick. They get a matchup on Cormier, who now quickly retreats to cover Parlett. They get it to Parlett. Fulton Bayman.
And they're going to put Cormier in the pick game.
Oh, that's going to be in the crease.
It was moving pick.
Moving pick.
And for Virginia, with Millen now coming out of the midfield a bit, getting those short stick matchups, what he will learn the more that happens, he can be very patient with the ball. They're not going to check it out of his stick. He can start to peruse, and he's a great passer. Start to get his teammates involved. You don't have to get that instant offense. You can be a bit more patient than when guarded by a long stick.
Millen turns the corner, feeds up top, shot save Entenmann. And Napolitano plays it back into the crease. 8 saves for the two-time ACC Defensive Player of the Year, Liam Entenmann. Riley Gray behind the cage. Bayman gives it up. It comes to Pat Cavanaugh. He'll play Maestro from up top as he waits. Buzenkill comes in, part of the second midfield. Less than 4 minutes to go, first half. It's been all Notre Dame.
And look, this Notre Dame team, right, of the top teams, what they're doing right now, they're dominating without their best players on the scoreboard in a significant way. Virginia, Duke, all the other teams, they need their best players to have multiple points to be competitive.
Pat Cavanaugh over to Angrick. Third assist for Pat Cavanaugh. Double-digit goals in the first half for Notre Dame. And Matt, we saw that on championship weekend last year. Pat Cavanaugh was basically duct taped together like a Frankenstein. Wasn't as much of a factor, really, from the quarters, the semis, and the championship, and it didn't matter.
Yeah, they've got a lot of depth. Players like Angrick, last year, Tevlin, making an impact. But again, if you're Virginia here, okay, why is there so much chaos with Cavanaugh just running simply behind the cage? You start moving like that, and you have a player with Pat Cavanaugh's ability, he is going to make you pay with his vision and his ability to get his teammates involved. It's just unnecessary chaos that this Cavaliers defense has done all year.
You start to take a close look at Virginia's schedule. Their best win is Maryland. That win lost some value last night after Maryland lost to Penn State and dropped in the RPI. There's no bad losses. With a loss to date, can Virginia still be a top 8 seed and host? Absolutely. But you're going to sweat it out a little bit to see if you're going to be in Charlottesville for round 1 come Sunday if you don't win.
Yeah, it's the lack of that marquee win, I think, is a problem for the Cavaliers. I also think, like, who knows, there's some new people on the committee. Does the eye test ever come factor in this game right now? Do they look like a top 8 seed in the first half of this game? I think you can emphatically say they don't.
Yeah, it would be a team, if they don't come back, that would enter the NCAA tournament on a 4-game losing streak. Notre Dame, meanwhile, hasn't lost since the 25th of February. Game 2 tonight, Duke and Syracuse face on. Spins it to Pat Cavanaugh. Kastner on him, McLean checked by Chismar. Now Dobson, matched with Weyer. Dobson, the step, missed the cage.
for the Fighting Irish.
Well, Virginia was on this field yesterday evening. Went through a practice and a walkthrough. Now, they stressed the importance of using this weekend to get right. Pat Cavanaugh almost slipped. Kastner matching feet with him. Bounce shot hits Wayers. The shot clock was ready to expire. Wayers a threat in transition. Boy, does Virginia need a juice goal in the worst way. Now the ambush. Wayer retreating. If he's a part of Jurassic Park, that's one of those beetles trapped in amber.
Last week, Notre Dame scored 11 goals in 4 quarters. One away from matching that here in the first half.
Matt, I'm going to ask you the question. Is this Irish team better than the one we saw win it all a year ago?
I think they are. I think they got, I don't know if defensively they're as good, but that gets masked at times with Entenmann being as good as he is in the cage. And here's where they're different. It's these ground balls.
Well, we will get a loose ball hold against Bergmaster. Virginia keeps it.
But they're on the wings on the faceoff X. I think Lynch taking a step forward, right? By the end of the year last year, he was great, but now he's elite. You have the Kavanaughs, you have more experience. You have Dobson. You have the matchup with Faison. Like, they're just so talented.
Millen looking for Cormier, couldn't handle the pass.
Moving pick.
Yep. Now think about Will Lynch. He was the Achilles heel, so to speak, going into championship weekend. Oh no, how will he match up against Petey LaSala? One of the best big game face-off men ever. How will he match up against Jake Naso? He won those matchups decisively.
And the story against LaSalle is just remarkable, right? It shows what a tactician he is. He went to work in the film room. He figured out where was I struggling in the 2 matchups early in the season where LaSalle had the advantage. And he figured it out, right? He's somebody who can throw out against anybody for every faceoff because he can make adjustments, and very few faceoff men can do that.
Notre Dame will hold for 1. Irish 10 for 27 shooting in this opening half. Richard Delly can't handle it. It's a turnover. 11 seconds here for Virginia. Can they get something? Here's Whalen. Turbos into the box. Back to Millen. Feed to Cormier. Cormier doubled, lost it. Down he goes. And that right there is your first half in a nutshell.
Notre Dame too physical, too fast, too mean. Just taking it to the Cavaliers. This first half, all Fighting Irish. Impressive to watch.
It was one Blarney blast after another for Notre Dame. All over the ground, 10 goals in the opening half. Irish, the #1 team of the country, up 7. Drew Carter and Charlotte North standing by. They'll have halftime after this.
Getting Jack Boyden on the attack, trying to get Millen with a more favorable matchup.
Face-off violation to start, so Virginia will have possession. In the first half, the Irish won 11 of 15 at the X. Cormier 1 goal away from moving to sole possession of second place on the all-time list. Currently tied with Duke's Justin Gutterding, 212 career goals. Mac O'Keefe, the former Penn State star, owns the all-time record with 221.
How underrated was Justin Gutterding as a player? He was so good, and I never thought he got the credit he deserved.
Cormier gets number 213, 1 past Gutterding. Most goals in ACC history, and now second all-time, just 8 behind Mac O'Keefe.
A carbon copy to Virginia's first goal of the game. Just a hard sweep for Cormier. In the words of Bob Wiley, baby steps for the Cavaliers. And just a nice job sweeping in the post, the shot to the far post for Peyton Cormier.
Top 3 Bill Murray movie, by the way. Top 3.
I sailed, I'm a sailor, ahoy.
Baby steps. Agoraphobia, right?
And right there, Peyton Cormier, the only active player with 200 goals in a career.
A couple of guys on Duke might get there this weekend if Duke plays to Sunday. Dyson Williams and Brennan O'Neill, both close. Another face-off won by Virginia. Cormier also has put together 3 straight 50-goal seasons at Virginia. No one else even has 2. Turnover on the clear. Lynch, and that's a huge save. Mark that down, 14:09, third quarter. And that would have given the momentum back to Notre Dame. Nunes comes up with a big save. And Virginia, again, sloppy in the clearing game. Bergmaster gets into Schultz.
Hello.
And now Yeager picks it up for Virginia. Griffin Schutz. Over to Boyden. Little fake. Cormier whiffs. Looking to shake Napolitano. Here's McCabe Millen, matched up with the long stick Chris Conlon, who's a terrific takeaway artist.
Well, a sloppy sequence from Virginia from the clear to the offense. The energy seems a little bit elevated versus what they demonstrated in the first half.
Colsey wheels down the alley. Schellenberger from X.
This is a good matchup for Virginia.
Millen against Parlett, the shorty. Millen turns. Parlett stays with him. Finds Boyden. He retreats. Good defense by Buckner. Now here comes Schutz, charging toward the cage, and he misses wide. By the way, if you're wondering why Liam Entenmann is wearing 40 instead of 44, a late season tradition for the Irish is to wear the number 40 jersey that the late Mike Sennett wore, and Entenmann with the honors this season. Matchup for Schellenberger, he's got Buckner. Skip pass off the stick of Schutz. Outside of Cormier, Virginia shooting 2 for 12. Notre Dame almost doubling up Virginia when it comes to shots. Irish clear at 90%. Entenmann over to Buckner.
Chris Kavanaugh getting involved in the clearing game. Number 50, an attackman. All the way down on the defensive end. The tough part for Virginia, right? Like their agent of chaos is Kastner. And so other games when they're not worried about a one-on-one matchup, they can kind of let him go and roam and cause turnovers in the middle of the field. You can't do that against Pat Kavanaugh.
Right on the doorstep, Pat Kavanaugh on cue.
And right here, again, you get kind of that sense, right? Kastner, who is the matchup for 51, getting a little itchy to go make something happen. And right here, just an early slide for face-on. Really no reason. That's not bad defense, and he's sliding in no man's land and just leaving Kavanaugh wide open on the back door of the field. Let face-on take that shot, right? Like Virginia just puts themselves in compromised positions defensively, and Notre Dame making them pay with smooth, efficient offense.
The Cavaliers double pole the face-off wings again. McNeil near side, Whalen far side. Colucci took the face-off against Hagstrom. Notre Dame wins it. They've double poled quite a bit tonight, and frankly, it hasn't mattered. Now Chris Kavanaugh. Here's Nick Harris. Harris at D-midi will run off. Second midfield will get a run. Riley Gray waiting for Angrick and Buzenkill. Here they come.
And for Virginia, right, like whether you, maybe it's time to start exploring things at the end. They haven't run zone. They haven't deployed a zone defense once that I can remember all season. right? And so if your weakness is off-ball defense, like, remove that from the equation. Give people and assign people to spaces on the field to play defensively. 2011, Virginia went exclusively zone after losing 4 of 5 to end the season, and they went on to win a national championship. Like, try different things at this point, because what they're doing isn't working on the defensive end.
We check in with Marilyn Payne.
Never mind the point differential, or goal differential here. Notre Dame's staff, Ryan Wellner, assistant coaches down here riding this defense, saying we can play better, we can play better. This is not who we are. Just about their performance over the last 5 minutes. So not a comfortable Irish sideline right now, if you can believe it.
This Notre Dame defense has held 11 of its last 16 opponents below 10 goals. They did it to Virginia last weekend at Klockner. Schellenberger against Parlett. Let's see if the slide comes. Schellenberger picked up by Napolitano. Great help defense by the Irish. Now Corey against Donovan, the All-American. The defense.
And do you see the difference on the team defense from Notre Dame? Right, when they're sliding, they never compromise themselves.
How about the play by Parlett to get in the way of Cormier, 4 to shoot. Notre Dame's a team, historically, they're not worried about matchups. They'll switch 1 through 6 as Millen misses as the shot clock expires. They don't get caught up in matchups as much as other teams.
I know, they don't worry about it. They also, what they do a great job of is, like, they don't give up a lot of, like, directly assisted goals, right? It's not, hey, I'm dodging myself and I'm throwing a skip pass to someone who's wide open. If you're going to beat them, more often than not, it's going to have to be a result of multiple passes to find the third slide guy, which, again, is very hard to accomplish on the offensive end.
Yeah, the Virginia players equated it to, you really have to probe. What they want is for their goalies to see outside shots that are average to below average in terms of difficulty when it comes to saving them. Their defense is designed to make you work for good shots. There's Chris Cavanaugh, the hot stepper. Over to face-on. Lost it, recovers, popped into the air. Another 50-50 ball. Dobson recovers. Chris Cavanaugh will hunt it down. Schroeder lost him. Still plenty of time, 20 to shoot. Cavanaugh serpents around the crease. McLean's got 2, feet in front, face-on, save. There comes Yeager, the Harvard transfer, accelerates the other way.
And a nice save from Nunes. Virginia pushes in transition.
Weyer stops, fires a bouncer.
What a save. Entenmann in the cage. Weyer, one of the most skilled offensive long poles in the country, with a bouncer moving hard, and Entenmann goes low and matches it on the redirection off the ground.
Weyer told me after watching Jared Connors for a few years, it really clicked for him this year in terms of preparation. Schutz turns around and Entenmann is there. Go back to the championship weekend last year, national semifinals. Schutz had a shot on a doorstep late with Virginia up 2. If he scores, it's a 3-goal game, and maybe Virginia's playing for a national championship. Entenmann instead makes the save, kept the deficit at 2. Notre Dame goes down and scores. Taylor scores late in regulation, and then Tevlin won it in OT.
Yeah, and look, Entenmann has 9 saves here today. And again, it's one of those things like, oh, Schutz has a nice save there, but that's actually a shot the defense will gladly give up when you have a player of Entenmann's caliber in the cage. I'd like to see a bit more team offense from Virginia. A lot of dodging and standing around versus dodging, throwing a pass and redirecting it quickly and attacking on the backside. They look like they're missing like an offensive identity right now.
Not what you want on the first weekend in May. Here's Schellenberger, still looking for his first point. Easy save for Entenmann.
Virginia dodged to shoot. Notre Dame dodged to create offense. There's a difference.
Chris Cavanaugh has a goal today. Pat Cavanaugh, 4 points, 3 helpers. Gray turns it over. Erdman, the freshman. Now you look at Notre Dame, 12 turnovers. Virginia only has 6, but then when you look at possessions, you understand why.
Sometimes probability and statistics are misleading. Just need to see a team offensive set for Virginia.
Shots looking to feed. Boyden coming out of the box. Griffin Schutz, 20 goals this season. Held without a point against Notre Dame last time out on 4 shots. Here's Schutz. Over to Schellenberger. Steps into one. Entenmann denies. 11 saves for the senior from Point Lookout, New York.
And for a year, I'm just like thinking out loud here, right? For a year where there's so many great players, generational players. Is Liam Entenmann as good? Right now, like I know we've never had a goalie win the Thornton Award. And Kaylee, I don't know if Entenmann's save percentage is at a level where you're like, oh, he's had this dominant season.
But look who they've played.
Again, and when you watch the game, like the eye test is pretty apparent that he is the difference maker for what they have that no other team has. Maybe Syracuse with Will Mark, but other than that.
There's Chris Kavanaugh. Spins it to Walker, the Texan. Face dodge and finish.
That's team offense at its best. Virginia just all over the place, schematically sliding who matches up in the interior. And then Walker with the smooth, 2 guys jump, the smooth finish to the post. 12-4, look at the hands and the composure. Notre Dame dominant. Villanova wins their tournament and Michigan wins the Big Ten.
Well, Villanova would be a bid thief. You could argue that Georgetown, could Georgetown be a bid thief? Is Georgetown a team that can get an at-large? But I'm with you. I think whoever wins the Big East is going to take a spot from somebody because Denver will be in.
Right.
I still think Maryland gets in. And then Michigan, like they were last year, could be a bid thief. And then you've got the Ivy League tournament, which starts tonight.
Coming into this game, really, I thought, all right, like who are the 5 teams that I think are really dangerous to win? I thought it was the 4 playing in the ACC tournament, and I thought it's Penn State. I mean, I think Penn State, when they play well, incredibly talented. They have great goalkeeping, a lot of talent everywhere. Maybe Virginia, not as much after watching the game here, but Notre Dame just impressing me more and more. And like, I do think that they are separating themselves from the competition.
If Virginia does get in and hosts a first-round game, there's going to be a lot of teams lining up to play them. It's a wounded Wahoo in danger of entering the NCAA tournament on a 4-game losing streak. Now, what helps Virginia is RPI. They have an RPI of number 5. Notre Dame is RPI number 1. So this loss really doesn't hurt you a whole lot. What will be interesting is to see what the committee values come Sunday. 4 new committee members this year. Last year, and again, past may not necessarily be prologue, but last year, the top 8 in the RPI all hosted a first-round game. McCabe Millen gets a step. McCabe Millen, skip pass, Menke. Good defense by Ramsey. Menke backhanded, McIntosh has the backup.
Notre Dame defense just, I think, showing improvement as the season's progressed.
Number 90 in particular, the freshman Sean Light, he stepped in for Chris Fake.
I think he's better. Like, I think Chris Fake was an unbelievable player, had more experience, but talent-wise, I mean, what he's done as a freshman, guarding the best players in the country, beyond impressive.
I was a little surprised he was not named to an All-ACC team. Goes the other way. 4 goals for Virginia. 9 last week. Notre Dame continues the onslaught. Nick Harris, the 8th of his career. Now we have folks wondering, where did Johns Hopkins offense go? 7 goals the last 2 games. Where is this Virginia offense?
Charlottesville, potentially, as Virginia makes a change here. But again, this is off a quick ball whistle. They push in transition. Virginia gonna do anything at that point in time defensively? Notre Dame winning it on the defensive end on the 6-on-6. They're winning it in the middle of the field. They're shooting well. They're just putting it all together, and again, games can get away from you. And certainly this one, Virginia overthinking things to a large degree and really struggling.
The new goalie is Kyle Morris, the redshirt freshman. It's been a tough finish to the season for Matthew Nunes. Against Duke, 0 for 7 in the first quarter, was pulled. Struggled in the first half against Syracuse, 3 for 12. 3 for 10 in the second half last week against Notre Dame. And today, only 6 saves, 13 goals allowed. Connor Schellenberger without a point. Cormier using his body. Now it Schutz. Gets the pick from Boyden. Schutz defended by the bagpiper Bergmaster. Notre Dame defense recovering. Ryan Colsey now, son of the great Roy Colsey. Low shot, easy save for Entenmann. Now the quick outlet. Parlett pushes transition. Over to Buckner. Irish slam on the brakes. They'll wait for the right personnel.
And that's what Entenmann can do to you, right? Like, you start to press. He's got 13 saves on the game, right? And like, you're taking shots that probably shouldn't take that one, but he's got you guessing now, and he's seeing the ball clearly. Virginia's scored 1 of their last 11 shots, missed 10 straight.
As an offensive player, when a goalie as good as Entenmann is on top of his game, how small does that goal look?
Small. And again, especially when it's a big goalie like him, right? Like, not only is there not a lot to shoot for, but then mentally you start to get too precise. You start to think about accuracy too much, and you maybe reduce your thought on what your fundamentals are. What's the deception of my release point?
Buzenkill, great look. He beats Morris. Right now, Notre Dame is toying with Virginia like a marionette with a clipped string.
Again, another goal with a hockey assist for Notre Dame. That is team offense. Team offense carries the day, right? And right now, Notre Dame getting contributions from everyone, right? We look here on the offensive set. Virginia's now sliding, and then you attack the backside, right? Because now Schroeder has shifted to the backside. They get it through X to Kavanaugh, and Buzenkill is just wide open. Virginia's sliding to Riley Gray. Really not in a dangerous position. Good offenses make poorly timed slides pay.
Matt, 8 of the 14 Notre Dame goals have come from players outside of their top 6 on offense. Schellenberger still can't get that first one. Entenmann, another save. I've said it before. He can be the Minotaur at the end of the labyrinth, and he's been that today.
I think right there is a prime example of like overthinking, right? Like Connor Schellenberger, one of the best players, if not the best player in Virginia history. Wide open shot, passes on it, and then shoots a bounce shot on the run from like 6 yards. That's not who he is. And Entenmann's got these Cavaliers thinking as shooters.
7 saves in that third quarter for last year's Kelly Award winner, this year's ACC Goalie of the Year, and this year's ACC Defensive Player of the Year.
Every save that he's supposed to save. So some of these shots, they're like, hey, it's a good shot for Virginia, but it's low angle, and Entenmann's going to take advantage of it.
Near disaster on the clear. 14 saves for Entenmann. Virginia gets it over. A 10-goal lead against Notre Dame, almost insurmountable. So if you're Virginia, how do you want to leave Charlotte?
Everything they want in this season's ahead of them, right? Assuming they make the tournament, which they should. Baby steps, make it a good quarter. Get some of the confidence back.
Another save by Entenmann, number 15.
And that's an offensive set the Cavaliers have run a number of times this year. I like it. It's off-ball movement. But again, it's not like traditional offense. It's kind of like a designed set play.
10-man ride by Virginia. Lacrosse's equivalent of a full-court press. Now Morris retreats into cage. Morris came in for Nunes in the third quarter. Kavanaugh looking for a cutting Ramsey. A Manganell pass downfield to Schellenberger. He's got Weyer. Thought about it. Shuts. Fires and scores. And he gets one back for Virginia. It's still 14-5, 13:35 left.
A nice job from Morris in the cage from Virginia, throwing that pass down the field to Schellenberger, who does a nice job organizing the slow break. Right, that pass to Weyer. Now Notre Dame steps up and it gets the Shuts. Again, though, pretty good positioning from Notre Dame. Like, required Shuts to take an extra step to his offhand. Right, to get that first goal of the fourth quarter. And what you're noticing here, too, when Virginia's run that 10-man clear, what they're doing is they're pushing up Cole Kastner. Notre Dame is countering that by now bringing Kavanaugh over the midfield to help with the ride, and it creates that transition because Virginia's not quite sure where he is.
Face-off won by Gobriel, but you're seeing the downside of double polling. If you're going to double poll, you're not getting transition off a face-off win.
And again, maybe you abandon the double poll because you weren't winning the 50-50 ground balls in those scenarios anywhere. Gabriel is actually doing a better job here in the second half. Virginia's actually now positive at the face-off X, right? So that's a win. Can you build upon that?
Terenzi sets the pick for Schellenberger. Light stays with Schellenberger. Now the veteran Will Corey. Angles down the alley. Back to X, Terenzi against Buckner. Terenzi to the crease. Cormier in traffic. Shot altered. Corey has the backup.
3 Notre Dame defensemen collapsing on Cormier.
It'll stay with Virginia, down by 9. Last week, Notre Dame held Virginia to its fewest goals at Klockner since the advent of the shot clock a few years back. Today, Virginia at 5 goals. Cavaliers in danger of losing their 4th straight. It would be their longest losing streak since they lost 6 in a row in 2013.
Well, since Coach Tiffany took over the team, right, he hadn't had a 2-game losing streak. And so this Virginia team needs to do some soul searching. That's the right look from Weyer. Just poor execution.
What's the last time, Matt, Virginia's been held under 10 goals in back-to-back games? Into the empty net. You want a 10-man ride? Notre Dame makes you pay the price.
Glad the empty netter happened there because I didn't know the answer to your question. But right there, when you do a 10-man ride, you take your goalie out of the cage and apply pressure and allow defensemen to push up. Chris Conlon recognizes it and shoots it from the restraining line. All the way, dead center. Notre Dame not doing much wrong today.
Second career goal for Conlon, who the Irish weren't even sure would be back this year. He's a sixth-year senior. The coaching staff believed he was done at the end of last year. And Matt, as of the start of this new year, he was working in New York City. Out of college, had a real job, had a year of eligibility left, and realized, hey, I got one last chance to play lacrosse. I'm going to take advantage of it. And was a last-minute addition to this Notre Dame team, and he brings back a pretty big piece on defense. He's been known as a takeaway artist throughout his career.
Some real-life experience.
I think about it. If you could have done that one more year, would you?
Yeah. I don't have to think about that too much. I'd still do it now if I didn't have, you know, a horrible knee.
Anish, Shroff, Matt Ward, Marilyn Payne with you. ACC tournament returns for the first time since 2019. First of two semifinal games. No automatic qualifier in the ACC. McLean, the hat trick, 16-5. No AQ this year. The four teams that comprise the field are all safely in the NCAA tournament. Now, Virginia, their seeding was somewhat of a question, especially if they lose today, which is going to happen. Notre Dame with a win today can likely lock up a 1 seed.
And Devin McLean with the hat trick. I think total seconds in his stick, less than 1. Right, in and out, quick, and right here, the most recent one. Again, Virginia, just off-ball defense giving too much room. McLean literally has taken 3 steps on those 3 shots. And that's what the best off-ball players can do. They can get in and out, not give your goalie time to track the shot. What an addition he's been for the Fighting Irish.
Playing midfield for the Irish after leading Brown in scoring the last 2 years as an attackman. Champ Week already bringing its share of chaos. We told you earlier, Denver going down in the Big East tournament yesterday. Georgetown pushed to overtime by Providence, and then earlier today, Army, a team that came within a whisker of championship weekend last year. Remember, they knocked off Maryland in the first round a season ago. Pretty good team coming back. They were knocked off by Boston University in the Patriot League semis. And with Army's RPI, they are far from guaranteed an at-large bid. They might be on the outside looking in. BU will play in the Patriot League championship as Morris makes the save. Bayman in the crease. Flags fly. So Boston University will get either Lehigh or Navy in the Patriot League final. Then we got the Ivy League tournament in Ithaca where Cotter, Kark, and Quint are.
Full box. Red 15, cross check. 1 minute foul. 15 red, cross check. 1 minute.
And right here, we're going to see Morris with the actual nice save in cage. Then it's a lack of discipline. Right, your goalie bails you out. And then for no reason, give this Notre Dame man up another opportunity. If you haven't heard, they're pretty good.
Yeah, they're not bad. You know what, though? They're 2 for 3 today, so their percentage actually comes down.
Think about how insane is that?
Coming into the day.
So if you're, for them, if you have 3 men, you have to be perfect.
Well, now it goes back up. Dobson with the fire. 17-5. Listen, we knew Notre Dame was good. We knew they were championship good, and Virginia was reeling a bit. I don't think anybody expected this kind of game.
No, particularly after just playing a week ago. Or again, it was a game Virginia was up 7-4 in the third quarter. Notre Dame, I think, maybe found their recipe for success in the back half of that game, just kind of creating chaos and dominating ground balls, and that certainly carried forward in this game. And again, they're just beating Virginia in so many different areas with so many different players.
That's been the most impressive part. So much of Notre Dame's offense today, their goal scoring, has come outside of their top 6. In fact, the majority of their goals today have come from outside of their top 6. Entenmann trying to retreat into the cage. The ball went a little wide.
And I think what's so impressive, there's games, right, where like your best players are the ones who are initiating the offense, but maybe they don't get the points. That can happen.
Oh, look at this, Nick Harris.
Today, the Kavanaughs haven't been the offensive initiators, right? Notre Dame has 14 different goal scorers.
Say that again.
14. And Pat Kavanaugh isn't one of them, right? So
he's got one.
Oh, he does have one. Okay.
Yeah, he's one of the 14. McLean has a hat trick, 2 for Angrick, and then a dozen Irishmen have 1 goal apiece.
Notre Dame's up 17-5, and you just look at Jalen Seymour just hustling, catching up, taking away that offensive opportunity for the Cavaliers.
A lot of backups now in for Notre Dame. Schellenberger to Cormier. First point of the game for Schellenberger, 3rd goal for Cormier, who's now up to 214 for his career, 7 away from tying Mac O'Keefe's Division I record.
Virginia's success shooting today has been to the top portion of the cage. I wouldn't say it's a weakness of Liam Entenmann's, but it is like the one area where sometimes you can get it past him. He does have a tendency to lower his body.
One of the big storylines now going into Selection Sunday is how far does Virginia fall? Now, they have a resume and an RPI that will get them into the field. The question is, do they host? If not, do they go on the road? Who do they play? How far do they fall? This was a game, if Virginia won this game, you're talking probably top 4 at the worst, top 5 seed. Schutz, bouncer, off the crossbar. Post Malone is playing here today. Big music festival going on in Charlotte. Here comes Schutz.
And again, like if you think about Virginia's, resume, they lost to Syracuse by 1, lost to Notre Dame by 2. Duke happened the way that Duke Virginia always happens. This to me is kind of the one that I'm somewhat blown away, right? Because again, if they lost this game 12-10 and they weren't seeded, who would want to play them? Right? Like Notre Dame wouldn't want to play them for a 3rd time. Now I think Notre Dame's probably like, hey, we've got their number and we're the more athletic team, and they've taken to the Cavaliers here in Charlotte 17-6 with 7 minutes left.
A lot happening in Charlotte this weekend, a big music festival. Post Malone and Stevie Nicks. If you're a soccer fan, Charlotte FC plays tomorrow. Notre Dame is also happening right now, and Virginia's feeling every bit of it. The Irish, #1 RPI, entering today. Virginia came in at number 5. 4 of the 5 ACC teams gathered here in Charlotte are in the top 5. Penn State has a chance to move up if they win the Big Ten championship. Denver lost to Villanova yesterday. Maryland blown out by Penn State yesterday. What's going to be fascinating, again, the RPI is one of the more prominent metrics used by the committee in years past. How far does Virginia fall? They may not move much, if at all, because, again, you're losing to the #1 RPI.
Denver lost, and Maryland lost as well.
Maryland lost. And, again, Virginia still has a couple of carrots on its resume that can help boost its case. If Michigan wins the Big Ten, for example, that has a chance to maybe be a top 10 RPI win for Virginia. Keeps them on a seed line. Colsey, save Entenmann. What else is new? But Virginia's a team that, again, I think if you're looking at the odds are still probably in their favor for a top 8 seed, but I think it's far from a guarantee.
And you know the selection process maybe a little better than I do. When was the last time 4 people of the committee came off? And was there a change in philosophy? I feel like the RPI has driven the conversation for a pretty long period of time.
It has, and what we've learned, and this probably helps Virginia, they've lost 4 in a row, right? The committee has said in the past, what you do in April or May counts the same as February. They don't look at how you finished a season, and we've seen that before. Teams that bank a couple of big wins in February, they may, the bed down the stretch. It doesn't matter because their resume is already intact. But if you're Notre Dame, Matt, I went through the last 20 NCAA tournaments, really since the tourney expanded in 2003. The benefit of being a 1 seed versus a 2 is massive. A 1 seed has reached championship weekend in 19 of the last 20 NCAA tournaments. A 2 seed, 10 out of 20. A 1 seed has never lost in the first round because that's really where the matchup integrity finds itself. You're going to play the winner of the play-in game, 2 lowest RPI teams. The 2 seed has lost in the first round 5 times. Buzenkill over to Angerick looking for his 3rd. Brock Behrman, the freshman, 36 in white. Fulton Bayman, 2 in white. Irish getting a lot of their secondary players in. Jeffrey Richardelli, number 0, in the Jake Taylor role.
We talk about scoring from a bunch of different areas. Notre Dame has a goal from its attack, first line midfield, second line midfield, third line midfield, their face-off special, a short stick D midi, their long stick midfielder, and a close defenseman. We need Liam Entenmann to get over the side, over the midfield. Maybe put him in at attack or something along the line now that his day is done.
Oh, he's done. They've got Alex Zepp in goal, who played at the same high school on Long Island that Entenmann did. Chaminade, flag down, goal is in.
And now, again, if I'm Virginia, Millen just took a shot. Like, I think you take your players, Virginia, too. Like, this is when players can get hurt on both sides.
No face, no face.
.47, dead ball foul, unnecessary roughness, 1 minute, no face off, UVA ball.
Coach Corrigan up 17-6, still as competitive as possible right here. Millen, and a pretty clear late hit there. Clean, right body, shoulder, but it was after the ball was in the back of the net. That's why it was a dead ball penalty, and Virginia gets the ball without the face-off.
Kastner got tangled up with Parlett. We get another whistle, loose ball hold on Notre Dame, back to Virginia. Will Gallagher in the box for the Irish. 4.5 to go.
When you compare Virginia's man-up, which is a good one as relates in terms of like other team or man-up units in the country.
They're 5th nationally at 52%.
But what differentiates them from Notre Dame is they don't have the stretch shooter. They don't have the Dobson, right? The interior player, again, Boyden very good at finishing. I don't think he passes it out of that center place as well as Taylor does. A very good unit, but not at the level of Notre Dame, and it's mainly because I believe that the pieces don't fit quite as well.
Cormier's got 3 of the 7 for Virginia. Colsey throws it in, 17-8. And not all goals are equal. The Irish playing with a lot of subs out there. You know, they have their normal man-down unit in, but it's now clear Kevin Corrigan wants to save some legs for Sunday, where Notre Dame will get either Duke or Syracuse. Irish about to go to 11-1, and they're on the verge of being 31-3 in their last 34 games. You go back to 2022 when they were 4th in the polls, didn't get into the tournament. They were probably the 2nd best team in the country that year behind Maryland. I don't know if they beat Maryland. That Maryland team was loaded, one of the best we've seen in recent memory. But can you imagine if Notre Dame had a run in 2022 and had what they did last year and what they could do this year? We're looking at this Irish program in this window, in this Kavanaugh era, this Pat Kavanaugh era, in a different light, Matt. And there's still time, I think, for us to throw the D word around.
I said it last week or when I was calling their game. Like, they're on, you know, depending on how this season ends up, they're there, right? And Pat Kavanaugh has delivered on all fronts, right? And again, of Schellenberger and O'Neill, the body of work in its entirety as a team based on team success is on a different level.
The last time a team won consecutive championships, and it wasn't quite consecutive. Virginia won in 2019 and 2021. There was no tournament in 2020 due to COVID. But the last time a team won a title in back-to-back years, got to go back to Duke a decade ago, 2013, 2014. A team led by Jordan Wolfe, a young Miles Jones. Brendan Fowler won seemingly every big face-off.
Fouls on Orange 39 / 1 minute.
So Virginia will head back to Charlottesville. A lot of questions.
Soul searching, right? They've got to figure out. They're going to have to find an identity that they seem to have lost. I thought early in the year, right? Like that first game against Michigan. Coach, Michigan made some comments about, hey, like the ACC. I mean, they didn't say that directly, but like it's not as tough as the Big Ten. And man,
the pretty boys, I
right?
believe, was the exact phrase.
And the Virginia team came out fired on. That was the meanest I've seen them play all year.
They printed T-shirts afterwards too.
They've lost it. They've lost that identity as Notre Dame.
That's 4 for 5 with the extra man now.
So now their statistics going up.
Right. We're keeping the math very primitive tonight.
I think I can do 4 out of 5.
I hope so.
I've got that one.
You've got a lot of clients counting on it. 2:38 to go, 18-8. So Virginia now, in 3 of its last 4 games, has given up 18 goals. Let's check in with Maryland.
Guys, as you talk about Virginia needing to regroup as they head to the national tournament, Cole Kastner was confident, and Virginia's whole defense was, he said, that Notre Dame today would look like they did on Saturday, and all these different goal scorers have, as we've seen, caught this defense completely off guard. It says as much about what Notre Dame can take into the tournament as it does around what Virginia needs to do with its own expectations for how it evaluates teams. They've looked as shocked on this sideline as it seems like they've played.
Shell shock is a fitting description. Menke low to too high. In 2019, Virginia came to the ACC tournament. A lot of us wondered, a team that hadn't won anything the last few years, hadn't won a playoff game with that group. They won 2 games and used that to catapult them to a magical run that led in a national championship. Now, there was talk about that yesterday when I was at their practice. Hey, can we use this setting to get right? And for it to be that springboard into a deep run here in May. Instead, it's been the nightmare of real things again. And you got to give a lot of the credit to Notre Dame. This is not the first quality team they've made look hapless this season.
They put it all together today. I think they just wanted to remind everyone who maybe thought there were some holes the last couple weeks that, hey, nope, if we show up, there's not. As Virginia gets another one on the board. Thomas Menke from Dallas, Texas.
Highland Park, where Mike Pressler, the former Duke coach, is now the high school coach.
Menke, a left-handed player with a strong individual effort with his right hand.
You know, Matt, Notre Dame was the one team out of the 4 here in Charlotte who probably needed to win today the least. Virginia had lost 3 in a row. Duke had been a little up and down over the last few weeks. They had a humbling loss that surprised everybody to North Carolina a week ago. You got a Syracuse team, right? Are they ready to take that next step? This could be a platform and a forum to make that statement. Notre Dame, we know who they are. I don't think anybody would have thought different of Notre Dame had they come out and lost today, and then if they're the 1 seed, they go on a deep run. That wouldn't have surprised anybody, and yet they came out. Let's be honest, they ended this game in the first quarter.
Yeah, they just picked up where they left off from a week ago. And they just let Virginia know early, we're meaner, we're tougher. If you're gonna win this, it's not because we didn't show up today.
McNeil off the mark. A 9-goal demolition of Virginia by Notre Dame in ACC semifinal number 1.